Hi, welcome to GAFX 2022. I'm Shiji Sunal, the center head of the Center of Excellence, ABGC sector. Today, we are here with two industry veterans to discuss the AVGC training for social development. Today, we have Mr. Viren Patel, the creative director of, hello, sir. Welcome to GAFX and to the discussion on the panel on social development. So he's a creative director of Zebu Animation, and today working with studios around the entire South and the US. They're working on the movie Lego, and seeing him from many years and seeing the growth, and we've been together. He has an incubated space here at the Center of Excellence, and we have Mr. Jesh Krishnamurthy, who is the CEO of Anibrain. Again, a wonderful journey of 16 years into the industry with more than 350 projects on VFX, where he has worked on most of the major Oscar-winning movies, and even one of the Oscar-winning for the Blade Runner. I think he was a part of the VFX studios. Along with the projects, I think Jesh Krishnamurthy is known for his education and training as an Anibrain training center. So today we wanted these two veterans to talk and discuss about the training, how training or skill development in AVGC can support the social development, and the session will be a discussion between Viren sir and Jesh Krishnamurthy. I will take off from here, and I'll leave the stage for both of you, have a discussion, and you can take over from here, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hi, Viren. Lovely to share the space with you, and nice to connect with you yesterday. So I was a bit curious as to what was your journey like, over the years, just getting to this point at Zebu today.
Many moons ago, right? I got into the field. The various aspects, Jesh, that led to this culmination on that we're here on this call at this point. But I think the biggest challenge, the biggest impetus to make this happen was probably my father, who really thought that, hey, maybe this is something that you should be pursuing. And we're talking of 90s here, right? We're talking of pre-IT and pre-computer era here. And well, that's really makes us old and, like Shiji said, veterans. Thank you, Shiji, first and foremost, for all the kind words and the introduction. Comics, books, reading, and hoping and wanting to draw is what got me here, Jesh. Right? I mean, yeah, right. I really wanted. I was reading a lot, and watching a lot. Not watching, right? Those days. Now, yes, but not in those days. So, hoping to be part of that, aspiring to be part of that community is what got me here.
Great. I have a question. I mean, I think that two things struck out for me when you said that is that your father being an influence. So he must have been ahead of his times, where he recognized creativity as a potential career, which is a problem that we suffer from today because people don't look at creativity as a career option. And the second thing was you spent your childhood reading comic books, which again is considered as a no-go place. People would rather you read Shakespeare. So isn't that a cultural problem that you and I probably face in terms of attracting people to the space?
Yes. I completely agree. I mean, in India, every time we consider art as a hobby, it hurts, right?
Yeah.
Because it's my life, and life can't be hobby, right? Life is life, and I just want to live my life, and I want to draw, and I want to hopefully be part of a team that can tell some cool stories. And my dad was an amazing man, but I don't
Yeah.
think I would. Yeah, that was crazy what he could do in the early days with writing letters to his friends in US and waiting 3 months to get a response back on what we need to do next, right?
Yeah.
So when we're one of the things that I discovered, Jesh, right? I'm sure you have experienced it too. We all start to when when we're kids, we all start to scribble. We all start to draw, chalk, draw, ata. Any material that's at home and that's accessible, we use our hands and we create something. I really think maybe it's my I'm not, this is my personal observation, right? I really think all of us can draw, and drawing and art is knocked out of us over a period of time. And then we come back and say, oh, I got to learn this. That's what I think. I'm not sure what you've thought, what your thoughts
No,
are.
it's very, very, very interesting what you say that, because one of the issues that we kind of that we suffer from in this industry is the very fact that art is not considered to be a viable profession. Whereas I think today, if you look at where animation, gaming, visual effects, comic books have reached in this country, globally, I mean, these are very, very viable professions with very extremely competitive, at par salaries, the perks. So I think I think a big part of our issue is if we are to bring social change through this sector, is to really talk about art and creativity as being the bedrock, not just of art, but also of science and also of commerce, because without that creative mindset and without creative thinking, none of the professions would have experts and amazing people. So what kind of things did you do over the years, since we are talking about social innovation? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What have you done as a company, as an individual over the years to help that?
I was lucky to have a situation, Jesh, where I had an ecosystem that could nurture this. And I am not really sure I'm the best person for this, but I certainly had the best ecosystem for me to thrive, right? And as I've gotten older and as times passed by, I realized the privileges I've had. And then, like, I come from a small town, like most people, right? I come from a small town. My father was in the Indian Railways. I think 10 years of my school life was in 13 schools because my dad was being transferred every 8 months. So the advantage I had was one thing I learned. I was being shipped between Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka, and then at that very young age, differences was not intimidating, right? Oh, someone's different from me, someone talks different than me, and someone eats different things than me or dresses differently. And it's like, when you're a kid, you just take it in your stride and you just move along, right? Because you're still not uh, told that something is right or something is wrong. You're just forming your thoughts at that moment, and those kind of things helped. uh, and then the fact that what I had at a personal level and what was there around me, I could see the difference. And then and we had a chance to do something about it. We said, hey, why don't we do something about it, right? Why don't we expand? Why don't we expand the opportunities that exist for all of us? Because intellect is there, passion obviously there, desire to do well, again, obviously is present. The question was about, the question is really is about creating a system and a structure so that there's a validation for kids who want to come into this in our field today, right? They're like, hey, let's attempt these things. Let's focus on the fundamentals. Let's talk about how can I get skilled to get an assignment, and how can I get skilled to create assignments or opportunities, because both exist in India today. And that's the beauty of where we find ourselves as a nation, right? As a nation, I think opportunities to at the personal level exist, and opportunities to be, we can create opportunities for others too. And I'm very gung-ho about that aspect. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that we learned at Anibrain very early on is that a large mass of the talent that we we were attracting were coming from smaller towns, and some even coming from villages. And I think in a sense, if you look at a studio's journey in India, we not only are we a studio, but we're also a training ground, a skilling ground, a ground to teach. And I think that one of the things that became very apparent to me, maybe in the first third or the fourth year of starting Anibrain, which was my first experience working in India. I'd only worked abroad till then, and then coming back, there were issues like communication, which were challenging. There were issues like understanding why a certain deadline was important, was challenging. There were creative challenges where even having a young artist have an opinion on their work was very challenging, because you almost had to teach them to see and look and spot and evaluate themselves. And so I think a lot of what we did in the earlier years, Viren, was creating these talent pools, creating talent pools. And I think today, if you look at the industry, we have a fairly large talent base compared to where we were 15, 20 years ago. So we tackled a lot of that by creating our own educational, in a sense, courses, a lot of in-house training. But as the talent gained more and more experience, I found that the language that somebody spoke, if they came from a small town in Maharashtra or in the north of India, was not a barrier when they were talking to somebody in Canada, was not a barrier eventually when they was talking to somebody from Japan or the US. So what was amazing to watch was how they broke every barrier that they probably had never thought that they would break. And I think that kind of opened my eyes to the large talent pool, which is truly untapped in this country, that comes from smaller parts of India, even village-based talent that I have seen, which has astounded me at times. So what's been your experience with Indian, working with talent from India? How have you guys groomed people? What have you done, and what do you see at large, in a sense? Can this spread into smaller towns, and how?
No, I think there's certainly a lot of overlap there, Jesh, here, because we are doing similar things. The aspirations and the desire to win and to succeed, and it's like, I want to do this, right, in a very humbling way. It's absolutely lovely to watch, right, when you see the spark or the fire in somebody's eyes. It's absolutely lovely to see that. The challenges, I think, are very similar to what you experienced: language, discipline, ability to plan, structure, etc. Right? The raw talent always existed, right? It exists because weirdly enough, we are in a field where sometimes life challenges are a great fodder for us, and in a very, you know, not the greatest way to say it, but I really think sometimes challenges in life that we experience, and especially being the nation that we are, a developing nation that we are, it certainly creates a lot of challenges for citizens. And that's that. Artists can tell a story there. There's a lot of stories to be told. There are a lot of emotions to be shared, and things to be inspired by when we listen, hear, watch, uh, right? Yeah. Jesh, I have one thought for you, right? When you did come back to India, and if since we're talking, since this program has a particular structure from ABAI's perspective, education, where do you see it succeeding, failing? I don't want to be too generic, but we can start from there and then we can converse further.
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, a big part of running a studio in India, if you've been around for the last 15 plus years, is that this has been talent. It's the scarcity of talent. So I think as a studio, one of the areas that we focused on very heavily was just training people and training larger groups of people. So let's say, we had a capacity of 50 people in a certain skill set. We would always anticipate future requirement, future needs, and train. And I think if you look at training in India, there are multiple levels of it. I think on one level, you've just got basic skilling, because that can get people into the industry. And there I feel that a large base of our employment could come through programs that similar to what we probably ran at Anibrain or other people run in other studios, where you skill somebody to be able to do something very well in a short amount of time. And I found that once somebody made an entry into VFX, at least, and I think it's similar for some of the other areas also, once that interest was piqued, they were just able to say, I want to learn this, I want to learn that, I want to do this, I want to sculpt in 3D, I want to light texture, I want to do everything,
Nice.
So I think it was almost like for me, it was like how do you kind of just make somebody open their eyes once and just realize the beauty of this world, So I think that for me, the success came also because we needed larger numbers. Success came through skilling and through encouraging them, and to see how beautiful this entire industry is. And I've spent my whole life in this industry, and it's an industry that will give you everything that you need, that you thought at the beginning of your life, hey, I want to have these 5 things in my life, or whatever they are. It has been that gateway. So I think that for me, it was through a lot of skilling, because I'm always interested in how do you solve a larger problem, problem larger than what Anibrain had. Because I also realized that the ecosystem that was needed for the industry to thrive couldn't just be supported by 1 or 2 companies. They had to become a very thriving space. And I think that for me, we probably trained a few thousand people, 4,000 to 5,000 people, and it was in a sense a way to also kickstart the ecosystem. And the more people that you have, the more business can grow. And so that's one aspect. But also I think, as you mentioned, the arts, I think Shriji mentioned the art schools. I mean, the talent there in art schools, again, is untapped in our sector. It's just completely, we've just missed those schools,
Yeah, completely.
and they don't even, they don't even know that we exist, as there's a very creative industry, right? So I think there is so much to do in terms of uplifting art as an option. It's worth respecting. People need to realize art and creativity are worth respecting. I think skilling larger number of people, because if you look at the needs that we have, we're never able to find enough people, and that goes for every studio, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. So we clearly there's a pain point here that needs to be solved on a larger level, and I think when you look at a larger level, I think social change then becomes a part of that. I think it follows that, and I think also if I were to look at the industry, we've really just scratched the surface today, and I mean, I would love to go have a small facility in a place like Kolhapur or Sholapur or somewhere smaller, but today because of infrastructure, because of lack of knowledge about those areas, I think so
Jesh, I think in the next few years infrastructure will get fixed, right? And business opportunities exist. It's about upskilling our citizens to be able to exploit or utilize those opportunities that are coming their way, right? So how can I work on a premium international IP in Kolhapur, at Hubli, at any place, right? Any place.
exactly.
That's possible. It's actually it's not a crazy dream anymore. In the next few years, it's not a crazy dream anymore. It's possible. And somebody like us can actually help. It's also about, I don't know, it's a little weird, but maybe we need to debrand the cities a little bit. And
Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, we living high quality life, great air to breathe, roosters roosters on your Zoom call might be fun, right? Instead of
Absolutely.
car horns.
Absolutely. No, you're totally right.
Right?
You're very right.
Yeah, we need to find something there and say, hey, everyone doesn't have to align up on ITPL main road or whatever else that's there.
And we saw a bit of that with COVID, because people went back home and they were able to work in a remote town, and once in a while the power went off and it was a bit of an issue, but we all figured it out.
Yeah, we all figured it out.
We all figured it out. So I think in a way, I think that COVID has shown us that we can work remotely also, and talent can be found anywhere in the country. And when that becomes something that we think of automatically as talent not being concentrated in these 4 or 5 super busy metros, I mean, the possibilities then become endless for everyone.
If you have to quote Carl Sagan, right? Every living cell wants to find a way to propagate itself and extend its species. So if you look at us as the CG animation community, as a single cell, it's like we are going to find a solution. It doesn't matter because I don't think we aspire to become extinct. So we are going to find solutions, and like you rightly said, we found a solution, right? Maybe some of us struggled, some of us succeeded, but we, as a community, we were all able to find solutions. Yeah.
Hey, you had a great analogy yesterday about the IPL. Could you share that, because I really like that.
So Jesh, this is right, typical Indian, right? Cricket fan, right? Cricket fan. When I was growing up, it was Sunil Gavaskar, Mohendra Amarnath, Kapil Devs of the world. They are the epicenter of my heroes. The posters that are there in the dormitories and in your bedroom. But you could clearly read even in those days, right? Illustrated weeklies and various other new magazines that existed those days. All of these guys, all of these amazing sportsmen are coming from a very small region of our country. They were coming from a very small region of a country. And 83 obviously made a big difference because it suddenly allowed us to say, oh, even I can dream, right? So that happened, but I really think if you watch today's IPL, it blows my mind.
Yes.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
There's so much diversity, there's so much variety, and there's so much personality, and everybody is so amazing and so cool. And I'm like, oh my God, this is fantastic for a sports fan, right? And I look at it and say, what inspired this, right? Or like the analogy that I'm trying to draw here is we had a win, we had a success, and then we were also brave enough to say, we are not trying to straitjacket. You need to be English speaking, you need to be this education or that education. It's like, interview will be done in Hindi, interview will be done in Tamil, it will be done in Malayalam, in Mizorami, it doesn't matter, right? I think we need to, I think we could also emulate that, which is what you were talking of a bit earlier, right? And say, hey, language is about communication, honestly. As long as we can communicate, thanks to Google and various other technologies, translation will happen, and it's only going to get easier and better and smarter and more efficient. So translation is never going to be a challenge. It's thoughts and ideas and the quality of ideas and thoughts we have that will matter, not the grammar and the language. After a point.
Absolutely. 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 And to be honest, I think post your IPL analogy, I think there is not much to talk about because that's such a perfect it may not give the guidelines as to what all we can do to bring this change, but I think just sparking that dream that you talked about and sparking it across the fabric of India is probably the best thing we could do.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Education, Jesh, we'll need. I would really like education where, as a society, I want us to start slowly focusing on whether one wants to be in today, thankfully, right? I mean, India's reached a point, and again, unlike, I'm sorry to bring this up to again narrate about how old we are, dinosaurs, but today, being a chef, being a painter, being an animator, being a mechanic, everything works. It works. All that matters is, are you good at it? If you're good at it, there is opportunity. There is
Absolutely.
a customer there is a client, there is a customer who needs you, right? So, and I'm sure for animation, the same opportunity, for us also the same opportunities exist. We just need to find a way where a little bit of structure at the formative stages, formative years, strengthen the foundations and the fundamentals on art, might make the journey simpler and less challenging for the kids that are going to come in.
Arts and experimentation, I think, if you were drawing when you were a kid, I was blowing things up, and so I never drew till much later in life. But I think it was that just willing to experiment and try. Maybe that's why I do VFX, because I like to blow things up. But it was, I think we're kind of nearing the time where we have to end this discussion. I hope we've made some sense, Viren. What do you think?
I think we have represented ourselves well. We've spoken about things that do make sense, and we also spoken about things that's like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. It's been a
Same
pleasure
here.
to meet you,
Same,
Viren.
same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.